So here we go. We're early today, unannounced early because I didn't know I would have to be early. Normally, I would let people know well in advance or at least the day before, but things have been really hectic recently. There's a lot going on. So, yeah, early today. So here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's morning here now. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some clips from the news, share a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And if you happen to be listening somewhere else and you wanted to join the live portion, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time normally. Normally, as I said, unfortunately, I was forced to come on early today if I was going to do it at all. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat, and you can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. I'll remind you all again, since I do simultaneously podcast to both Coffee Talk and Prepper University, that as of the first week of June, I will be backing off of doing this on Prepper University, and I will do it exclusively on Coffee Talk, which is right there, youtube.com/at Coffee Talk Live. So if you are watching on Prepper University and you like the podcast, please subscribe to the Coffee Talk channel so that you can continue to participate. And I know most of the people who see the podcast see it after the fact, not live. But I got to throw it out there. I want to remind everybody every day until I switch to please be subscribed to both channels, and then Prepper University will go back to having primarily prepper related content as opposed to sharing the podcast. Again, I started doing the podcast over there just to keep it alive because YouTube had ruined that channel so badly. They had ruined that channel so badly, and the podcast has helped to sustain it, at least for now. So I'll go ahead and I'll say hello to some of the people that are chiming in so far before we get to what's going on in the world. I see Sven is here, and Jeff, and Jane, and hello to everybody else who might be listening and unable to chime in. Hope everything is going well today. Again, very early. And usually when it's off like that, when it's not at the normal time, the viewership or the live portion of the viewership kind of tapers because people aren't expecting it to be there. And YouTube is notoriously bad with notifications, unfortunately. Really bad with notifications. Now, something that I wanted to catch up on here, or for context, since I brought it up yesterday, we were reading about the mayor of Chicago and how the mayor of Chicago is now under investigation because of comments that he made in the Church of Chicago about deliberately hiring predominantly black staff, which is a violation of federal law because it implies discrimination. And I had brought up Eric Adams has done something similar, although I don't know that Eric Adams is under investigation at all. And Eric Adams is the one who famously bragged about replacing everybody in his administration with chocolate. And I see Lucky is here. He says, "What's going on here?" Yeah, there's too much going on today. And I ended up, the only way I was going to be able to do this was to do this early, if at all. So yeah, I'm in early. So I went and I found the original video clip of Eric Adams putting his foot in his mouth so that I could share it with everyone so that you could see exactly what it is that I was talking about. I'm sure you've seen this before, but again, for context, just so that I can demonstrate that I'm not just making stuff up as I go. I try. I know I throw out a lot of opinion and whatever and speculate on things, but I do try to demonstrate that I'm not just making things up. Oh, and it's Lucky making fun of Jane. Yeah, Jane is on time. And it's a spontaneous. Yeah, I set this up a couple hours ago, but again, YouTube is really bad with notifications, anyways. And even for the regular podcast, it's always at 2, usually, unless I can find a better time slot. I don't know if 2 is just really good or really bad, but 2 is what I can do right now. If I was nationally syndicated, then I would cater better. But for now, it is what it is. For now, it is what it is. But here's Eric Adams, and I'll go ahead and I will run this video clip, and you can hear what he had to say.
Not only that, what do we do? First women of color to be the commissioner. First Spanish speaker to be the commissioner of the police department.
That. How well can you hear that?
First Dominican to be a deputy mayor. First African American to be the chief of staff.
How well is that coming through? Somebody let me know.
The first one was by David Dinkins. When you look at our administration, first Indian American to be a deputy mayor, first Filipino American to be a deputy mayor, first Korean American to have small business services. You will see we got a chocolate running.
How's that audio coming through? Jane says can hear a bit. It's not loud enough because it doesn't sound like that audio is coming through very good. Lucky says better. Let me start it over. But basically, it's virtue signaling 101. Virtue signaling 101 here.
And not only that, what do we do? First women of color to be the commissioner. First Spanish speaker to be the commissioner of the police department. First Trinidadian to be a deputy mayor. First Dominican to be a deputy mayor. First African to be the first deputy mayor. Second.
Now it's choking. But he's going through this diatribe of
services. You look.
Here we go.
Look at our administration, and you will see for yourself. We got all of this shit. And you're trying to figure out why they're hating on me?
Now that implies racism. Okay. So he's literally sitting there. I mean, first Trinidadian to be deputy mayor, first Dominican to be another deputy mayor, first African American to be this, first Indian American to be this, blah, blah, blah. You've got all this chocolate running this city. And then he says, you wonder why they're hating on me. Oh, they're hating on you because you're black? Is that the idea? You're implying racism. You're the mayor. If there was a racist attitude, you never would have gotten the job. Never. No one would. He would have been pushed aside and pushed aside and pushed aside.
Listen, folks, I came into office. We were spending pennies in women and black-owned businesses. We're now spending billions of dollars.
Billions of dollars that you don't have because New York City is in major debt and facing bankruptcy. Spending pennies on black-owned businesses, he says. Black-owned businesses or female black-owned businesses. What about other businesses that are viable? Jane says you can't say only hire one race. Is this not against the law? It is. It is. It is against the law. It is against the law. But bragging that he hires only people of color. I mean, Eric Adams is under investigation for everything else. I don't know if he's under investigation for this, but this is the first thing I thought of after reading the article yesterday about the mayor of Chicago making the same kind of claims. Only Mayor Eric Adams goes so far as to slur it by saying chocolate. We got all this chocolate running the city, and then implies racism by saying that's why people are hating on him. Well, actually, I do have a problem with him basically doing all diversity hires. I do hate on him for that. For that reason, I don't know that these people are qualified other than what color they were because he wanted to check boxes and virtue signal. I don't know how qualified they are for the job. We're seeing way too many people in these kind of positions unqualified for the jobs and getting the jobs because of what color they are. Or because of what gender they are, or what gender they claim to be. Like our former Attorney General, who doesn't know what the hell he is. And neither does anyone else. And Sven says, so racism is good now. Yeah, only if you're of color, apparently. This is embarrassing.
Not only that, what do? First woman of color to be the commissioner.
First black commissioner, female.
First Spanish speaking to be the commissioner of the police department.
First Hispanic and Spanish speaking commissioner of the police.
First Trinidadian to be a deputy mayor.
First Trinidadian deputy mayor.
First Dominican to be a deputy mayor.
First Dominican deputy mayor.
First African American to be the first deputy mayor.
First African American, he claims, to be the first deputy mayor because there are tiers.
Second African American to be the chief of staff.
Second African American to be chief of staff. He means just American born black.
Why the first one was by David Dinkins. When you look at our administration, first Indian American to be a deputy mayor.
Indian American deputy mayor.
First Filipino American to be a deputy mayor.
First Filipino American to be deputy mayor. How many deputy mayors do you need?
First Korean American to have small business services.
First Korean American in charge of small business services.
You look at our administration and you will see for yourself, we got all of this chocolate running this city.
We have all this chocolate running this city.
And you're trying to figure out why they're hating on me?
And claims that's why people don't like him. Again, yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame them for not liking you if all you can do is diversity hires. But that can't be a basis. Color and race and gender should not be a basis for hiring. Should not be a basis for hiring, regardless of what color they are. Which is, I think, the point that Iania is missing there with that comment. Yeah, it does matter if they're white and can't do the job. And there are a lot of white people in these positions that are not necessarily qualified either. But neither should they be hired for being Caucasian any more than those people should be hired for being of color. You either miss the point or you want to miss the point. Now, following up, because we talked a lot about this, the escaped people in Orleans Parish in Louisiana, they've now arrested a third accomplice. Fox News article, Louisiana police arrest third accomplice in the Orleans Parish jailbreak. We've talked about that a couple of times. A third, let me continue that screen so that it'll stop bouncing. A third alleged accomplice has been arrested in connection with the escape of one of 10 inmates from the Orleans Parish Correctional Facility. Connie Whedon 59 years old, believed to have assisted the fugitives and was taken into custody following an investigation that revealed she was in contact via phone with one of the escapees, Jermaine Donald, both before and after the escape. Donald remains at large. Authorities say Whedon gave cash to Donald via cell phone app. She has been charged with one felony count of accessory after the fact and booked into the St. Tammany Parish Correctional Center. And that's Whedon here. This is Connie Whedon in her Connie Whedon here in her new outfit from that parish. It says, according to Louisiana law, those convicted of accessory after the fact shall be fined not more than $500 or imprisoned with or without hard labor for not more than 5 years or both. A statement from the LA State Police said, law enforcement personnel from multiple local, state, and federal agencies will continue to pursue every lead until the remaining fugitives are located. Those who choose to assist or conceal these individuals are violating the law and will be held accountable. Harboring fugitives threatens the safety of our communities and will not be tolerated. And these, again, are the men that are involved in the escape, some of which were incarcerated for murder. And I think, there's still 4 at large? Is that correct? 4 of them have not been caught yet. It says Whedon is the 3rd person charged for aiding the escapees since the jailbreak. Courtney Harris and Covente Baptiste were previously accused of providing support and transportation to other escapees. Wow. Transportation. It says, according to Louisiana law, those, how much is it? Those convicted of accessory after the fact shall be fined not more than $500 or imprisoned with or without hard labor for not more than 5 years or both. How does that factor? How does that balance? That's where I always wonder about the imbalances in the justice system. $500 versus 5 years in prison. Seriously? $500 versus 5 years in prison or both. Does $500 equate to 5 years in prison? Can I pay the fine? That doesn't make sense. And there you go. There's your far left response to absolutely everything. I'm accused of being racist. I'm accused of being racist. There you go. There you go. What does everybody else think of that? What does everybody else think of that? I must be racist. I must be racist if I call out DEI hiring. All right. That must be it. But another person, the 3rd person now involved, giving money, communicating. I don't know if she works for the state or not. It says she was in contact with him before and after the fact. But I don't know if he's involved in the prison system. I don't know what she does. And it doesn't say. It doesn't say. Or it doesn't say. Authorities have reminded the public that these individuals are considered armed and dangerous. I don't even know if they caught those. I don't even know if they caught those last 3 monkeys from South Carolina. Remember the laboratory escapees? The laboratory monkeys that escaped, and they got, the last I heard, there was still 3 at large. And I don't know if they got them or not. Jane says that she read that that person was maintenance at the jail. That's possible. That's possible. I didn't see it in that story. I didn't see that in the stories. And Sven says Marx said one thing that works is to blame others for what you're doing. Alinsky adopted this. And Jane remembers the lab monkeys. Yeah, I don't know if they got the last handful of them. I don't know if they got the last handful of them. We still haven't even gotten to the thumbnail yet, but that's okay. Haven't gotten to the thumbnail yet. But yeah, 3 people now involved. Why would you even want to take that risk? And why doesn't anyone not understand that any phone call associated with any kind of a correctional facility is being recorded? They've been doing that as far back as they had phones associated with the prison system. They record everything. So all they had to do was go back through those files and then found whatever they had that connected her to that other guy, and then checked on what she's been doing recently. Incredible. Incredible. And that's usually how they catch a lot of that stuff, is they record everything. They read all those letters incoming and outgoing. You don't have rights in that regard. You don't have a right to privacy like that unless you're with an attorney alone. If an attorney comes to visit you alone, what makes you think you're gonna? It means you have a secret code. You think they don't have a way to crack that or figure it out? Do you remember V, the book for the film V for Vendetta? And the woman was trying to get him to let V to let her go. And she was like, I don't know where I am. And he was like, no, but you can describe enough for a clever man. Yeah, somebody can figure it out. Bottom line, most people are not that smart. Again, Fox News wanted to jump to California here really quickly before we get around to the thumbnail. Karen Bass's former deputy mayor of public safety, I don't know if you remember this story. I think it's from back in October, admits bomb threat hoax targeting Los Angeles City Hall. So a former aide to Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, you might have remembered us reading this months ago. They're in court now, who served as the deputy mayor of public safety, has agreed to plead guilty to threatening to bomb City Hall last year, according to the Justice Department. I don't think this person was really going to do that, but they made the threat, and that sort of thing's taken very seriously. Brian Williams, who's 61 from Pasadena, agreed to plead guilty to a single count of information with threats regarding fire and explosives, which carries a sentence of up to 10 years in prison. In an era of heated political rhetoric that has sometimes escalated into violence, we cannot allow public officials to make bomb threats, said U.S. Attorney Bill Isaly. My office will continue its efforts to keep the public safe, including from those who violate their duty to uphold the law. The threat was carried out October 3rd, 2024, there it is, during a virtual meeting with Williams and others related to his duties, federal prosecutors say. During the call, Williams used the Google Voice application on his personal cell phone to place a call to his city-issued cell phone. He left the meeting, called the chief of staff of the City of Los Angeles Police Department, in which he falsely stated he had received a call on his city-issued cell phone from an unknown man who threatened to bomb the City Hall in Los Angeles. 10 minutes after the call, Williams texted Bass and several high-ranking city officials in the mayor's office and falsely reported a bomb threat that he received on his cell phone at 10:48 in the morning, claiming that the male caller stated he was tired of the city's support of Israel and he decided to place a bomb in City Hall that might be in the rotunda, at which point he immediately contacted the chief of staff of the LA Police Department, and they're going to send a number of officers to do a search of the building and determine if anyone else received a threat. However, investigators quickly determined that Williams never received a call and had made the threat himself. How are you going to call yourself on your other cell phone and make a threat and not think that anybody can trace that? And plus, it's a city phone. It's a city phone. So they're going to have access to all incoming and outgoing call records, and they're going to see you called your own damn phone. And you're 61 years old pulling that kind of a prank? That's pretty stupid. That is pretty stupid. Williams described the threatening call he claimed to have received to police and showed them the record of an incoming call that appeared as a blocked number on his city-issued cell phone. But that incoming call recorded was the call Williams placed to himself from the Google Voice application on his personal cell phone. Williams then texted Bass and other city officials. What a moron. Is that a picture of him? Okay. Here's the picture. This is Karen Bass on the left and Mayor of Public Safety, or Deputy Mayor of Public Safety, Brian Williams, is in the middle here with the bow tie. He's the one that made the false threat. Calling himself. But I mean, even if you do it anonymously, like he used Google Voice app through his phone to make an anonymous call, there's nothing anonymous in the digital age, okay? Maybe to us, but to authorities, a couple of computer checks, they'll know who did what. The guy buried himself. He buried himself. I'll give him credit, though. He doesn't look 61 in the photo. Doesn't look 61 in the photo. And it goes on to whine about what he did and describe it, but it does not say why he did it. I can't find anything that says why he did this. Sven says it turns out Satan needs to change his recruiting. No, stupid people work really well. Stupid people work really well. Hell's full of them. Most people are not that bright anyways. I say it all the time. Most people are not that smart, and a lot of them are twice as dumb as that. Twice as dumb as that. And Jane says V for Vendetta, heard about that movie. Yeah, it's worth a watch. And it's fairly close to the book. Fairly close to the book. But it's worth a watch. There's a lot of truths in it about government and about people. But this nitwit again, because we read the story months ago, but now he's pled guilty to it. I mean, it's not like he could prove innocence. They have the cell phone records. Calls himself from one phone to the other, fakes a bomb threat. For what? It never really explained why. And you're a deputy mayor. It's not like, I mean, the salaries of lawmakers in California is insane anyways. He had to have been making some pretty damn good money. Why would you blow that? 61 years old, pulling like an adolescent prank. 61 years old. I mean, how stupid can you be? Not that these other two in the picture are any smarter. I don't know too much about the LAPD chief there, Michael Moore. I don't know too much about the police chief, Michael Moore, but I know Bass is a nitwit. Bass is a puppet for sure. I'm sure he can't be any better. Can't trust him either. Incredible. Incredible. Risking your career, risking prison, and old. You're going to be old, that old, and going to prison for something stupid. And can't even explain why you did it. Although I'm waiting to see if he gets a pass, because I'm thinking of, what is his name? The old fire marshal there who pulled the fire alarm in DC. And, you know, he got a $3,000 fine and had to write a letter of apology to the chief of police or something stupid. And I'm like, damn, if that was me, I probably would have gotten a 5-year sentence. I'd be doing 3 to 5, hard labor or something. So that guy got a pass, although he was not reelected. He was not reelected after that. Now we can get to the thumbnail. I've heard about this, but I don't know too much about it. USA Today article. Trump administration says Harvard can no longer enroll international students. That's right. Trump administration Tuesday revoked Harvard University's ability to enroll international students, throwing the Ivy League campus into chaos and jeopardizing the legal status of more than a quarter of its students. Why are 25% of its students from other countries? The move marks a significant escalation in the White House's battle to pressure the university to bend to demands to overhaul its admissions, hiring, and teaching practices. The decision will almost certainly prompt a legal challenge from the university, which is already in active litigation against the federal government for freezing billions of dollars in research funding. And again, that's a frivolous lawsuit because they're not entitled to tax dollars. If the government says you're not getting it, you're not getting it. There is absolutely nothing from any college or university that entitles them to tax dollars. Period. They don't have any rights in that area. So in a statement, Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary, said the current international students at Harvard must transfer to other universities or risk losing legal status. Noem said she would reconsider her decision if Harvard, within 72 hours, satisfied demands for more information, which include providing disciplinary records of every international student for the past 5 years. Also, all they had to do was a record search to avoid this, and they didn't do it. All right, well, there you are. At President Trump's direction, federal agencies have targeted dozens of universities across the country in recent months that officials have accused of not doing enough to protect Jewish students. The government, which they didn't, whether you like them or not, they let the pro-Palestinian protests run amok on the universities until their hand was pushed. The government has canceled billions of dollars in research grants and contracts, forcing significant layoffs and budget cuts at many institutions. Says Burns says we should not let people come to America for an education if their country is anti-America. I can't argue with that. And a lot of people who have ended up working against this country, turns out they were educated here. Either here or the UK. Jane says Department of Education intact and overruled by judges against the president. I can see upsetting the Harvard international students. And Jane wants to know if colleges give international students discounts or discounted fees. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on that. Here we go. It is a privilege. This is Noem, a quote from Noem. It is a privilege, not a right, for universities to enroll foreign students and benefit from their higher tuition payments. Oh, they pay more to help pad their multi-billion-dollar endowments. Harvard had plenty of opportunity to do the right thing, and it refused. Okay, so international students end up paying more. That's interesting. That answers your question, Jane. In a statement, Harvard spokesperson Jason Newton said the university was working quickly on Thursday to provide guidance and support to students and faculty. How about you just let the federal government have its record searches, which is what they asked for, which you refused, which is what brought you to this point. Harvard keeps thinking it can butt heads with the federal government on these issues, and it doesn't have a leg to stand on because technically it's not entitled to anything. It can only take foreign students with the government's permission. It's not entitled to tax dollars. I mean, what the hell? And even their non-for-profit tax status, which is ridiculous, is a government privilege that's given to them. Harvard's been dropping the ball for decades, for at least 20 years. These Ivy League institutions are not what they're cracked up to be. Haven't been for a long time. Oh, you remember the story? I've talked about it a couple of times. The stories we read a few months back with Harvard University professors complaining that they're getting students, American students, who can't even read. They can't get through a book. They've got remedial reading and remedial math courses at Harvard now. And you still want to call yourself an Ivy League institution? Where's your merit? Where the hell is your merit? Where is anything earned? Where's the honor? Where is the honor? And that counts for more than 25%. It says the decision stunned Harvard's international student community, some of whom are awaiting graduation next weekend. Well, if their graduation's next weekend, I'm sure they must be finished if their graduation's next weekend. All they have to do is pick up their diploma and go home. More than 25% of Harvard's total student population are international students, accounting for about 6,800 enrolled this academic year. Good Lord. Good Lord. I mean, that was of course, the subject of the thumbnail there. Vern says Harvard brainwashes its lawyer students. Did we not learn from bin Laden? No. No, we didn't. And there you go, Jane. Do you remember that us reading those articles, Jane? Because she says can't read and go to college. I heard American people joining military cannot pass the test and plus maybe overweight too. Yeah, it's something that they call skinny fat. And we read that article too some months ago. I remember. The military is calling it skinny fat. And that's the person looks healthy. They look physically normal, but they're mush. Their bodies are pure mush. So when it comes to any physical activity, they fall apart because there's no muscle tone. They just have like a normal looking body, but there's no muscle tone under it. It's like a layer of flab. It's just not blubbery. And you got people with soft bodies and soft minds. And that's our current generation. And you wonder why RFK Jr. is so pissed off. Remember, a vaccination is what crippled him. That's why he can't speak properly. It ruined his voice. And I've impersonated his voice a couple of times, screwing around, because I didn't think he was a good candidate for president. But I do think he's good for what he is doing, because he has such a vendetta with so-called health in America. He'll challenge everything. Jane says, you ever read David Goggins' story? He was rejected from the Marines and went back and got toned. No, I don't remember. I don't think I've read that. You know, what is his name? Richard Simmons was rejected from the military. He tried to enlist during the Vietnam era, or he was drafted. I can't remember which it was, but they 4F'd him because he weighed like 300 pounds. They threw him out. And that's why he started the whole fitness thing and got so obsessed with it, with his physical fitness, because he was like, God, I'm not even in good enough shape for the military. They don't even want to draft me. That's what he said anyways. But again, I knew another guy too who was overweight, while I'm on the subject, and he was also in Vietnam. I don't know how heavy he was, but they said that that he was overweight, but not so obese that he couldn't be enlisted. And he said that they put him through boot camp and wouldn't let him eat anything but cornflakes for every meal. Like, well, that's one way to do it. Starve him out of it. Apparently he lost the weight though, but that's the 60s mentality for you there. So once again, Harvard University on Trump's shit list, as it were, on the bottom of the list, it seems, not getting anywhere with Harvard, not getting anywhere with the government. They were happy to take all that money to incorporate DEI programs. But now when they said, hey, if you want to keep the money, stop doing that, they're like, no, we like this. Okay, no money. And they're losing their minds. They claim to be nonprofit, but they've got staff making millions. We read that article last week, right? They got staff, one member of staff that we read about making $6.2 million a year. That's obscene. And they call themselves a nonprofit? They have the nerve to claim nonprofit status? That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Jane says they haven't heard the expression since their mother was alive, shit list. Here's another one you may not have heard for a long time. Their ass is grass. That's an old one too. Their ass is grass. And then when they lost their funding, Harvard was like, well, we have enough in reserve to cover it for now anyway. So you got hundreds of millions and billions extra anyways. I thought you were nonprofit. Where's all this money coming from? Where the hell's all this money coming from? Oh, speaking of money, I got a refund check. I just wanted to share this. I don't want to show the whole thing. You see, excuse me, my treasury check. I got a refund. I'm not cashing this check. I got a refund. I'm just trying to cover any pertinent information. You ready for this? Can you see that amount? Who can see that? Who can see my refund check? Now, I'm not going to cash this. I don't trust this at all because, as you all know, I'm up to my eyeballs in whatever with the Internal Revenue Service and have been for more than 10 years, right? For more than 10 years. And because I owe money, they've been milking me forever. Any refund that I might get would be automatically confiscated. So how did this $2 slip through? Where did that come from? Why are you sending me a check for $2 from the Internal Revenue Service? I'm not cashing that. I don't trust that at all. That feels like some kind of trick. I don't know why the hell. If anybody has any theories during the live stream or after the live stream, feel free. Put it in the comment section what the hell that is. Because like I said, if I'm entitled to a refund, I won't get it. They'll confiscate it for the back taxes, which ultimately weren't even mine. But I got saddled with it and have been dealing with that for more than 10 years. For more than 10 years, I've been dealing with that. Lucky says Walmart will charge $4 to cash that. I don't know. I don't think I've ever cashed a check at Walmart. Walmart Money Services? No, I don't do that kind of stuff. And also, I didn't talk about it yet, but I know some people might be curious. Still, I have not been able to find the missing cats. I'm still remember 3, 1 young, 2 old of the clouder that I take care of missing. I still have not been able to find them. I have been going around. I've been searching. I've talked to a couple of neighbors. One neighbor did say that they thought they saw an orange cat and that they'll keep an eye out and they'll let me know. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope that's Hobo. I hope that's Hobo. And he's the one that needs me the most. Like I said, 2 of them are old. One is very old. And the orange one has no teeth. I've got to get them back. They're not going to make it. The young female, if she never comes back, she might be okay. I still want her back though, because, I'm taking care of them. I'm responsible for them. I don't think of them as pets. I don't think of them as, clients, I guess you could say. Like a regular shelter or a vet might think of an animal as a client. To me, they're my friends, my neighbors. They're some of them are like family, and it's really bothering me a lot. I have this compulsion to help them. The night that they were gone, I didn't sleep at all, and I didn't eat either. My wife got on me the other day because she was like, "No, wait a minute, I didn't see you eat. When's the last time you ate?" It turns out I hadn't eaten in almost 2 days. I wasn't thinking of it. And it's just she got on me the other day about that and got me back on track, because I'm no good to anybody if I'm not taking care of myself. But because that's actually literally how much it's all bothering me. That's how much it's all bothering me. I've been very depressed about it, actually. I want to get them back. I want to take care of them. But hopefully they'll turn up, or I'll find them. Like I said, that was actually a good sign that they're still at least within a couple of miles. That a neighbor, and this is somebody, one of the neighbors here said they thought they saw an orange cat maybe near their barn, and they'll check again and they'll let me know. Hopefully that's him, and we can start getting them back. All I can do is pray at the moment. And again, I know also because I've been talking about this off and on, and I said even when this happened, I didn't even want to do the live. I didn't know if I wanted to do it all week, but I figured I'd better go ahead and grind it out anyways, because I know my head's not 100% in the game right now because of all that. Just really wearing me out. But yeah, I wanted to give an update on how that's going. Everything with the rest of the group has been fine, with transitions and getting a couple more adoptions done and things like that. Has been going really well. And then there's the 5 permanent ones that are going to stay in the house. That's no problem because they're not going to go outside. But yeah, that's just been very, very disturbing for me. Anyways, we'll go ahead and we'll get back to the news here. Excuse me. And this is from KRON. It's a local station, a local news in San Francisco, because they're doing a lot to try to disguise their homeless problem right now. Unhoused tents flood San Jose sidewalks after encampment sweeps. That's your first problem, is the terminology unhoused tents. Unhoused tents. That sounds like an oxymoron. I guess, of course, they mean the tents of the unhoused. There you go. It says the ongoing encampment sweeps near downtown San Jose are leaving dozens of unhoused people with no place to go. They had no place to go. That's why they're homeless. Crone 4, I guess that's Channel 4, KRON Channel 4, spotted many tents and shelters set up along public sidewalks near the encampment site of Coleman Avenue. Advocates say that about 200 people are now living there. The city said it expected the sweep of the encampment The city said it expedited the sweep of the encampment over safety concerns. The encampment was the scene of a crime where an unhoused man, homeless man, seriously unhoused, stabbed a San Jose police officer May 6th. Quote, they're going to be scattered to the sidewalk, and then the people are going to shuffle to Columbus Park. And by the end of the sweep, there'll be around 1,000 people at Columbus Park, according to unhoused advocate Sean Cartwright. The city of San Jose sent KRON Channel 4 a statement that said outreach was done before the sweep to connect people to shelter, which they didn't use. They refused shelter, by the way, because I've read other stories on this. It's not in this article. They refused shelter, and that's why the San Jose sidewalks are now loaded with tents, because all the people that were swept away moved to the sidewalks after the sweep. So that went very badly. That went very badly. That whole operation went very badly. And a part of the problem, again, you're not calling things what they are. These people are homeless, number one. They are not unhoused. That's really PC of them, really politically correct language. It's kind of like how, and this drives me crazy, at the Kroger supermarkets, when there's a phone call and the announcement, because it's automated, says there is a car parked on line, or a call. There is a call parked on line 3 for the deli department. There's no call parked. Someone is on hold. Can we just call it what the hell it is? Can we call it what it is? These people, calling them unhoused, it's cute, but it's not the truth. Stop that. It's not the truth. Okay? They're homeless. Period. They don't want your help. Again, I've worked with the homeless. I've talked about this a lot. They do not want help, especially from the city. They don't trust the government. Okay? No matter what their problem is, whether they're down and out on their luck, whether they're drug addicts, whether they're mental patients, okay? Whether they're people that just really want to be homeless, because there are some who are like that. They like that lifestyle. Whether they're fugitives that are on the run, hiding out by being homeless. They don't want your help, and they don't trust the government. The ones that want to be in the shelters are there. Everyone else doesn't want to be there. And unless you're prepared to force them, you're not going to get any cooperation. And then when you release them from the shelter, they'll be out back on the street, because that's what they're looking for. That's what they want. And for some reason, California doesn't understand this. Plus, no one trusts California anyways, because they lost $30 billion. It was roughly $30 billion spent on the homeless over the last 5 years, but somehow they didn't keep any records, so they don't know where the money went. They don't know what happened to the money. They're not accountable for it somehow. And you're going to go and break up their camp. Sven says Democrats are gross people. Some. You're going to break up their camp, and what did you think they were going to do? And then when you sweep the sidewalk, and that's what this guy was saying, if you go and you sweep up the sidewalk after that, they'll just go and pile into Columbus Park, which is already out of control because there's already 1,000 people in there. And that's what Jane was saying. Aren't there different kinds of homeless? Yes. And that's what I was explaining, that there are, there is the group, the media and activists and politicians, they all only concentrate on one group. And they act like all homeless people fall into this category, but really there's basically 5. There's more, but basically there's 5 general categories. There is the down on my luck, I lost my job and I don't know what to do homeless guy, which is what the media tells you they all are. All right. He's the one that just needs a leg up if you can identify him. But you can't, because that's discrimination and you have to treat them all equally, even though they're not. Group number 2 are fugitives. These are people hiding from the law, and being homeless is the best way to do it. Group number 3 are people who have mental disabilities. Something's wrong with them. They need to be institutionalized. Oh, but that's against the law too. Group 4 are addicts, drug addicts, alcoholics, whatever. They're not going to cooperate with anything. And even if you put them through a forced rehab program, they'll end up right back out on the street. I've seen it over and over and over again. And then number 5 is the group of people that being homeless is their lifestyle. They like it. To them, we're morons because we work and pay taxes and have responsibilities. Why do all that when you can just lay out here and live off the fat of the land? People bring you free sandwiches. You can go get a free shower at the shelter. What the hell do they care? They like it. And that's hard to get across to a lot of people. But again, I've worked with the homeless, and so has my wife. And when you've seen this all firsthand. And then you realize, oh, wow, the down on your luck homeless guy that really needs and will accept the help accounts for like 10%. Barely. That's being generous. Legend says, you're on early today. Good news, got 3 interviews. Good luck, Legends. Good luck. Yeah, I'm on early. I didn't even announce it because I didn't know if I was going to make it on today because I got a lot going on this afternoon. But the thing is, activists, politicians, and everybody, they know this. They know exactly what I just told you. All you have to do is talk to anybody who's involved with the shelter system, worked with the homeless, anything like that, and they'll explain it to you. They'll explain it to you. Unless they're going to lie for the camera because they want money. Our shelter doesn't have enough money. That's why there's homeless. No, there's homeless because they don't want your damn help. That's just the reality. That's just the reality of it. Most of them don't want your help. They know where the hell the shelters are. They know where the rehab centers are. They're not stupid. They're not stupid. Not that stupid anyway. Anyway, I'm going to remind everybody once again here as we get close. If you are watching on Prepper University, first week of June, I will be exclusively on the Coffee Talk channel. And that's the moniker there on the screen. youtube.com/@Coffee Talk Live. Because I podcast to both. But I'm going to go back to basics on the Prepper channel and then just podcast exclusively the Coffee Talk Live on Coffee Talk on YouTube. So please don't forget that. Please don't forget that, everybody. And Phil is here. Yeah, I just talked about the cats. Yeah, I can get into that a little bit here more. I have not been able to find them yet. I did talk to, I've been talking to some of the neighbors, trying to reach out here, and one of them thinks they saw an orange one somewhere near their property. But so I'm waiting to hear back because that sounds like it could be hobo. And if it is, then I can go grab him, but otherwise, I know that they have not turned up yet, and I've not been able to find them yet, which is really, really eating me up, honestly. It's all I can think about. But on the way out here, we'll take a look at the debt clock really quickly, which shows Doge projections currently at $463 billion in savings. It looks like it'll hit 464 within the hour, which would save the average taxpayer the equivalent of $4,130 in future taxes. Can't go wrong with that. So thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, most of the time. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. I will continue hunting for my missing felines. The rest of them are fine, because you remember I was caring for 15. Everybody else is doing okay. Those 3 are breaking my heart. But thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. As always, hope you got something out of the conversation. And we will catch you again on Monday.